and we welcome you to our Sunday night spiritual gathering around the table of many blessings, where all faiths and none are welcome. For we are one in the eyes of the Beloved, and we are a child who is loved. And each one of us, you and me, we are equal in the eyes of the Beloved. Regardless of our academia, regardless of our status in society, we are loved equally. And the Beloved has no favorites. All are treated with the same love. That must be encouraging when you see someone as devout and spiritual as our Pope Francis and the Archbishop of Canterbury, when you look at the great saints and the holy men and women of all faiths, even Francis of Assisi. The Father, Mother God loves you and me with the same love that he loved his great followers. Even the Archangel Metatron, who is dearly loved with Michael, the Archangel, but we are loved with the same love. So let us begin our coming together as brothers and sisters. And if you have a candle handy, may I invite you to light it for global peace and interspiritual unity. And we light this simple flame, a gift from our hearts to a loving God, in the presence of Gaia, in the presence of the Lord Buddha, Vishnu, Ganesh, Krishna, Sri Chimoy, Francis, Rumi, Osho, Mia Baba, Martin Luther King, the Prophet Muhammad, and the Lord Christ our teacher. In the presence of the company of heaven, we light this light as a light of gratitude for all that we receive. So, in the name of our Father, Mother God who loves life, we light this light. In the name of the risen cosmic Christ and the divine feminine aspect of God who love life, in the name of the Spirit of God, the fire of life, in the name of Gaia, our beloved Earth Mother, who nurtures the divine in all life, in the name of all faith traditions and none, for they too are the children of God, known by many different names, but still the one true loving Supreme. And for all gathered here, we light this in recognition of your divinity and your gift of presence. Thank you. The reflections for this time together, I sense, is going to reflect on the Buddhist teaching around compassion. A beautiful virtue, but a virtue that is lacking in society today. But before we begin, a few moments ago before going live, I was guided to play two tracks, the first at the start and the second towards the end. But the first one is a beautiful song by Charlie Lansborough called The Song of Bernadette. The words are beautiful, and all I can say is sit back and relax and listen to the words, because they are deeply moving and they're music to the soul.
There was a child named Bernadette. I heard her story long ago. She saw the Queen of Heaven once and kept the vision in her soul. No one believed what she had seen. No one believed what she heard, that there were sorrows to be healed. And mercy, mercy in this world. So many hearts I found, hearts like yours and mine, torn by what we've done and can't undo. I just want to hold you, come on, let me hold you, like Bernadette would do. We've been around, we fall, we fly. We mostly fall, we mostly run. And every now and then we try to mend the damage that we've done. Tonight, I just can't rest. I've got this joy here in my breast, to think that I did not forget that child, that son of Bernadette. So many hearts I find, hearts like yours and mine, torn by what we've done and can't undo. I just want to hold you, come on, let me hold you, like Bernadette would do. I just want to hold you, come on, let me hold you, like Bernadette would do. Like Bernadette would do.
Often in this life, we are gifted to meet very special people. You will have met these incredibly gifted souls whose humility and respect really do make you question yourself. Here, back in the 1980s, on television, there was a wonderful program that followed the story, the journey of an elderly lady who lived in the Dales in Yorkshire. And she lived right out in the sticks, in the middle of nowhere, with a small farm, small holding, with one cow. Yeah. And the cow was Betsy. and the cow and this beautiful lady. Her faith was amazing. Her childlike simplicity and trust shone right across. She wasn't worldly minded. Hannah Hawksworth was her name. She had no light and no hot water, but she lived a very simple life. And the money she made from the sale of her cow, when it gave birth to a calf and she looked after the calf, the sale of that young cow would actually pay for her provisions throughout the year. She lived very simply. But one day came when the winters were so harsh and severe, and she's there in the fields trying to find water and bring the cow Betsy in for shelter. And she realized that she must give up her family home that had been in the family for hundreds of years. And she moved into somewhere modern. But when she was interviewed, she had such a gift of innocence, childlike innocence, and her compassion for nature, for the animal kingdom, and for mankind was so beautiful. And you and I today, we live in a beautiful world, but the world seems to have a mind of its own, where so many are caught up in materialism, in the I want, I will have, I will get syndrome. And many will go to great lengths to get their wants, forgetting about their needs for balance and harmony and for blessing in their life. As long as they have their wants, all the materialism of the world, and then they have the worry of protecting all of that want. But isn't it amazing and wonderful and encouraging when you meet someone like Hannah Hawkswell, a traditional Yorkshire lady who has very little in the eyes of the world, but in the eyes of God, she is the millionaire. For she has found the pearl of good price. She has, and she treasures it by not getting embroiled in gossip, in slander. She didn't have a TV. She relied on the radio, and Sunday evening was her treat to listen to the BBC World News. We seem to have lost that innocence, like little Bernadette. We seem to have lost our childlike innocence. And for a lot of us, we make life so difficult that often we can't see the wood for the trees. Allow me read from this beautiful little book, A Heart Full of Peace by Joseph Goldstein. It's a book that's been endorsed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. But it's an amazing little book because it looks at the basic values we take for granted through the eyes of the Lord Buddha. And I find it a deeply spiritual book. And already I have found nuggets, spiritual nuggets, little gems that really do give you a kickstart in the spiritual life. It begins by a quote from Ajahn Chah. If my mind doesn't go out to disturb the noise won't disturb me. Very profound. And this is what he has to say. opening to compassion. In Buddhist practice, we develop awareness of the different motivations that underlie our actions. We also open to the possibility of expanding our highest motivation and aspirations. This actually enlarges our sense of what we can accomplish in our lives. Our highest motivation enlarges our sense of what we can accomplish. Bodhicitta is a Sanskrit and Pali word that literally means the awakened heart. This refers to that deep wish to awaken from the dream of ignorance in order to benefit all beings. Through cultivating this aspiration, we dedicate our spiritual practice and our very lives to the happiness and welfare of all. And we as monastics who embrace the simplicity of Celtic Franciscan interfaith spirituality from our own home, we are called to share happiness and to consider the welfare of all God's children, not just Catholic Christians, but all faiths, by sharing our Franciscan hospitality, which is, we do not ask your belief, we just ask, have you got a heart to receive love, to receive human kindness? But is this aspiration realistic? Is it really possible to cultivate such an altruistic motivation given the great mix of qualities within our minds? Even His Holiness the Dalai Lama has said, I cannot pretend I always practice bodhicitta, but it does give me tremendous inspiration. Deep inside me, I realize how valuable and beneficial it is. That is all. If we too can realize how valuable and beneficial it is, we can simply plant the seed of bodhicitta in our minds and trust that it will slowly take root and grow in our lives. Repeated short moments of bodhicitta are powerful imprints in our minds. I hope to our Buddhist friends I've got that word right. It's not a word I've come across, so forgive me if I appear ignorant. Just as a small seed can become a giant redwood, these moments of bodhicitta are the seeds of many wholesome actions. As a great naturalist, Henry David Thoreau wrote, "Convince me that you have a seed there, and I am prepared to expect wonders." We might begin each day or each period of meditation with whatever resolve expresses our deepest wish, finding the words that most inspire us. For example, we might say, "May I quickly attain liberation for the welfare and happiness of all beings." Doing this regularly leads us from the understanding that our spiritual practice inevitably helps others. Simply by becoming kinder and more peaceful ourselves, to making the benefit of others, the very motivation for our practice. This shift in understanding transforms the way we move through the day with a generous heart, a heart that wishes well to all beings rather than just a few, a heart full of peace. With such a heart, whenever we come close to suffering in the world, we are moved to help alleviate it. That impulse to act is compassion. And there's a lovely quote here from Rokyan. "Oh, that my monk's robes were wide enough to gather up all the people in this floating world." Well, I'm sure I could fit a few under mine. Joking. The willingness to come close to suffering opens us to compassionate action. We don't have to look far to find suffering. I found it today. Though I had to drive some distance, it was challenging, but the end result, by offering a listening ear and just having a group hug and allowing them to feel your love, God's love, and no words were said. It was in the silence of the deed that one was able to share and another receive. And I too received. I received a blessing from a suffering, tearful heart. We don't have to look far to find suffering. It's right in front of us. It's all around us. Take where you live. Who knows what the next door neighbor is going through? Unless they tell us. The nightly news program are catalogues of the world's distress. It is pitiful when you think of all our technology and the advances we have made, yet in the communication stakes of heart to heart and demonstrating a compassionate heart. One ends up going into therapy, and often, as I found in my nursing role on night duty as a senior nurse in palliative care, one evening I was invited to do the intravenous drugs on the women's unit, women who had had mastectomies, and one or two women who were in bad marriages and were deeply, deeply unhappy. Just because the nurse shows human kindness as part of their role, with a sense of professional tenderness and dignity with respect, sadly they often misinterpret that kindness that you're actually coming on to them or trying to arrange a date. It's so sad when people misconstrue, and then you have to sort of share with them and say, my act of kindness is that of a professional, and there is no agenda. Are we open to it? Do we actually relate to what we see and hear? Or has it all become too depersonalized? The Japanese hermit monk Ryokan, who created such wonderful poetry, wrote, "Oh, that my monk's robes were wide enough to gather up all the people in this floating world." Are we indeed open to the sufferings of all the people of the world? Are we open to the sufferings in our own bodies and minds? It is in the nature of the body to become sick, to fall ill, and to feel pain as well as pleasure. Such things don't always wait for old age. They can happen at any time. Let us stop there. Let us reflect. In the presence of God, let us invite the Spirit of God, the fire of God, to touch our hearts now. and give to us a compassionate heart. A heart that truly cares. A heart that wishes to make a difference in the world today by reciting positive mantras from all faith traditions that will have an impact on negativity, sorrow and heartache, and raise the vibration so that when we come into the contact of others, as I did today, as you do every day, it is nice when someone can say thank you, but many don't know how to say thank you. So let us, in the presence of the Christ, let us surrender our hearts in our vulnerability and availability and receive the gift of a compassionate heart, a heart that truly cares for the children of God, a heart that is willing to experience pain, rejection, isolation, recrimination. Having asked the Christ for the gift of compassion, let us now receive the anointing and just sense now the hands of the cosmic Christ been placed over your crown chakra and saying these words: I give to you, my beloved, the gift of a compassionate, loving heart, so that those you meet, immediately you will be able to release love and share God's compassion through touch, through gentleness, and by making positive eye contact that draws the person to your aura, so that in the center of that aura they too will be anointed by a loving God. Let us be available in our vulnerabilities for God to use us as a conduit. Let us be still now. Let us be still and embrace all that we are as a beloved of God. You are a beloved of God. Make no doubt about it. Your presence here is testimony that you are seeking and searching for divine truth. Part of that truth tonight has been an understanding of compassion and being able to incorporate it in your activities of daily living. Be still. Be still and know that you are loved. And we say, I am a beloved child of God. I am a child of God.
Close your eyes while the summer clouds release their silver load, and the evening rain makes patterns on the road. The world is clean and evergreen, Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let the moonlight lay its hands upon your head, and the silence hold you like a feather bed. And let the day just melt away. Close your eyes. Broken dreams that drift away like bubbles in the sky. Let them go, we'll build a dream together, you and I. Tomorrow, close your eyes. Let the sounds of nature lullaby your mind. In the pools of twilight, leave the world behind. Come with me to ecstasy. Close your eyes. Broken dreams that drift away like bubbles in the sky. Let them go, we'll build a dream together, you and I. Tomorrow, close your eyes. Let the moonlight.
And as we come to the end, in the name of the Lord Christ, the cosmic Christ, in the presence of Gaia, the Lord Buddha, and all the great spiritual teachers, I wish you blessings from this simple abode, and I ask the Father, Mother God to anoint you and give to you a compassionate heart. Namaste, Shalom, Inshallah, Pax et Bonum, Om Shanti, Solo di Caritas, peace. Good night and God bless you, and thank you for allowing me into your space. In the words of St. Francis, may God reward you. May God reward you.